McMain.
And good Thursday afternoon. Thank you for tuning in, and we appreciate you, our listeners. We got a great show in store today. A list of people that are coming in or calling in. Misha Maynor, former House of Representatives in the state of Georgia. She's a candidate for state school superintendent. She'll be on at 12:15. Chuck F. Strachan, he's the Georgia House of Representatives Majority Leader, will be calling us from the Gold Dome with an update. The governor today had his state of the state address, so maybe he can give us a little bit of a tidbit on what was there. And if not, our very own Jeff Hood will come in next week with a full-blown recap of that address. And then at the 1 o'clock hour, my friend Chip Morris, he's the owner and founder of Civics Academy. This is a really interesting story. This is an entity that he formed that helps people who have gotten into trouble to get them back on track. It is really impressive what he is doing. Tremendous work for our surrounding community. And then finally, Dutch Guest. If you remember, Dutch ran for State House 121, lost, and instead of picking up his toys and going home, he is back in the race. So Dutch will be here at 1:30. Just a stacked show.
Yes.
If
Great
we
show.
were a pizza today, we'd be a supreme pizza.
Oh,
we'd be
yeah.
a loaded pizza.
Yes.
Loaded baked potato.
With extra cheese.
Extra cheese on top. And then, you know what? Tomorrow's the same way. Tomorrow, I mean, it's like there's just no time. We could do a 3-hour show tomorrow if we needed
And
to.
not to even mention Monday.
Is Monday stacked too?
Mondays
Wow.
are big show.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
Excited about.
First Lady
Yes.
Marty Kemp comes in
Yes.
Monday in studio.
In studio.
We got to, you know what,
Huge.
Chassie, we got to
So
clean up. We
excited.
got to clean the windows.
Yes.
Be
Oh,
sure the front porch is clean.
Oh, immaculate.
I wish we had a new front door by then, but it's too late to get a new front door.
Right.
We can't do that. Maybe we can wrap
It's
it with
okay.
something.
We'll still give her a warm, huge welcome.
Got to have some hot
Can't
chocolate.
wait. Oh, absolutely.
Be sure the night, because if it's cold Monday, if it's like today, we got to be sure this place
yeah.
is toasty
There you
inside.
go.
Yeah, we are very excited.
Super excited.
First Lady, Georgia's First Lady, Marty Kemp, will be joining us in person Monday, discussing her initiatives on a myriad of topics, from pet adoption to foster care to mental health, and her big one, which is eliminating human trafficking.
Yes.
She has been a champion of those causes, and we're going to hear, you know, what she's done, what her motivation behind this has been, and just can't wait for that. That's going to be a very, very fun show. This is a bizarre story, as I like to always open up with. I look for the craziest ones. Sometimes I go hardcore, we go political, and we talk about the good red meat. But today we're going to talk about a hero. There's heroes amongst us all the time. But down in Florida, in Brevard County, you had this guy that was driving down the road, just doing his own thing. I don't know, maybe he's going to pick up a pizza,
Yeah.
Supreme
There you
Pizza.
go. Right.
And he sees two toddlers walking in the road. So when they say toddlers, I'm thinking these are 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, probably, you know,
Right.
barely old enough to walk, but not old enough to know better.
Right.
So he immediately jumps out, rushes to action. They say the bystander said within just a few seconds, he runs out, grabs the toddlers, and brings them to safety. So instead of calling police, he works to try to find, you know, hey, where did they come from? And it
Right.
turns out there was a family visiting there that had rented an Airbnb, left the back door open, left the gate in the backyard open.
Wow.
The kids kind of strolled out and made it to the road.
So scary.
Now, this is a great story, but it could have ended much
Absolutely.
differently, right?
He is a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero, no doubt about it. But I just can't help think, because I think it was grandparents that were babysitting the kids. I don't know the full story, but I think it was grandparents babysitting the kids. I think they pretty much lost their babysitting duties. That's one way to get out of it. If you don't want to see the grandkids, do that. Let them walk out in I-20 for just a little
that
bit, and they'll
would be
never be asked again to
so
babysit.
scary.
Reminds me of a story. One time,
Bless 'em.
my dad, when my boys were probably 5 and 7, I'm going to guess, maybe 4 and 6. They were young.
Right.
Well, they decided to go hang out with Grandpa one day, and my dad's a good grandpa. He's a rock star, but he had a little bit of a lapse that day, and it was my boys and our neighbor's 2 boys, Ethan and Eli. So you got the 4 stooges, right? And my dad picks him up in his Porsche and takes him to Target over in Bethlehem.
Oh, nice.
Pulls out in front of the store and says, "Boys, going in freestyle." Turns them loose. I think it was something like that. Maybe it was a couple. But the short story of it was he turned 4, 5, and 6-year-olds loose in Target.
Oh, wow.
Now, it all ended well. We got them all back. But Grandpa was relieved of his babysitting duties after that. Oh, mercy.
That's hilarious.
Freestyling in
I love
Target.
that.
That's ever since we used, because I called my dad. I said, what were you thinking? He says, well, I was going to let him go freestyle a little bit. Yeah.
That's a good pop.
Yeah, it is.
I like it.
The kids loved it. That was the best trip to Target
they've
they've ever
getting all kinds of toys.
Oh, they thank God they didn't have wallets with them.
Right.
President Trump said he's going to possibly implement the Insurrection Act. We're watching what's taking place in Minnesota. The chaos, the rioters, the people that are getting in the way of ICE agents trying to do their job that they're ordered to do, that the public voted for them to do. And these agitators that are getting in their way, causing problems, wreaking havoc, putting their lives in danger, that not only their personal lives in danger, but the ICE agents' lives in danger, just making life miserable hell for them as they work to get the most dangerous, illegal, alien, violent criminals off our street. But the agitators and the rioters and the people that are creating these disturbances have been given beer muscles by the politicians that get on there and say horrendous things.
Because they just get little slaps on the wrist for this behavior.
They do. Yep. That's right. Slaps on the wrist, unless something really bad happens like we saw last week, which was just tragic. But, you know, this is once again an example of your words have meaning. They have actions. And so when you get out there as a mayor of a city or a governor of a state and you say terrible things about our law enforcement, I don't care if it's local, state, federal, in this case federal, and you start talking horribly about them, then you're going to stir up the nut jobs. It's what you're going to do. You're going to rattle the cages of those that really aren't paying attention or maybe don't believe in the cause. I think the ICE agents are keeping us safe. I know they are.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're keeping us safe. They're performing what we've asked them to do. And so President Trump says, hey, enough's enough. If this doesn't stop, we're going to send in, I guess they'd use the National Guard to go in there and quell the people that are getting in their faces. But I saw another video. I don't know when this took place. I watched the video last night. It was in a Mexican restaurant in Minnesota where ICE agents went in just to have a meal and pretty much got booed out of the restaurant.
See, that's just so shameful.
Breaks my heart.
It is terrible.
Breaks my heart. These are men and women putting their lives on the line for us.
Yes.
And they go into a place to have a meal. Nobody can set their differences aside and feed these men and women. Instead, they run them out of the restaurant. Man, if they're ever down here in Monroe, let us know. We'll buy them dinner.
Yes, we'll pay for your
Yep.
I would have paid for their dinner.
I would absolutely pay for the dinner. It sickens me. They're welcome here. And the truth is, I know there's some darn good people in Minnesota that would also welcome these ICE agents into their facilities and establishments. But it just goes to show that you got some hateful nut job people. And again, like we talked about yesterday, where were they, the protesters, when people have been killed at the hands of violent, illegal alien criminals?
Right.
Where were they then?
Yes.
They were quiet.
Yes, I agree.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Some good financial news, Chastity. Layoffs, unemployment claims have dropped by 9,000 to 198,000 for the week ending January 10th. So this means it's fewer Americans are filing for jobless benefits. The analysts were expecting around 215,000 filings, so that's a good sign. It shows that the economy continues to trend back in the right direction. I can tell you this: if you are a young man or young woman, or it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what your age is, if you are looking for work, so many small business owners in our communities, restaurants included, landscape companies included, contractors, retail outlets, the choices are plentiful of places that you can go to work, and they need help. We actually seen some restaurants close because they couldn't find good help.
Yes.
That was it. They had great food. They had great prices. They've got a loyal fan base or a loyal customer base. It's just finding the right people to get in there and serve. And I'm going to tell you, these places pay good money. Right? I'm not going to say exactly how much you pay because it varies depending upon what your job is and what your skill set is, whether you're washing dishes, waiting tables, bussing tables. If you want to go work in construction, if you want to go work in the landscape world, Chastity, there's money to be made.
Yes.
Money to be made.
Yes.
You better have a strong back.
Yep. I always need a good landscaper.
Yeah.
I love landscaping.
Yeah, I got some good landscapers, I'll tell you that. But that's hard work.
It is hard
Not
work.
so bad right now when it's 50 and sunny, but when you get into summer and it's 95, 150% humidity, and they ask you to wheelbarrow a bag of rocks, and
It's tough. That's tough.
But that's why they get paid good money. So as this report comes in and talks about that there's fewer people asking for jobless benefits, that tells you that
It's great.
people are getting back to work.
Yep.
But there's still plenty of opportunities. If you want a job, it's out there for
Yeah.
you. No reason to be sitting home and
Sure.
eating Doritos on the couch. All right, and the final thing is, this was an interesting little thing I found about President Trump signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. This overturns an Obama-era limits that restricted school lunches to skim and low-fat milk. See, I'm a 2% whole milk kind of guy. Do you drink milk, Chastity?
I do with my cereal.
Yeah, I love milk.
But I'm 2% too. So
2%, that's kind of my go-to, but I also like whole milk, especially if I'm making like a glass of chocolate milk.
you can't really tell the difference. I can't.
It gives a little creamier, a little more beef to it.
I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, I like whole milk. If I'm making a glass of chocolate milk, I want whole milk on my cereal. I'm fine with 2%.
Yeah.
But I find this interesting because this is where the president, and presidents have done this in the past. If you remember during Obama's administration, Michelle Obama led an initiative to make school lunches more healthy. And it was a real bizarre turn of events because her initial motivation was to get rid of sugar from school lunches, which I was all about.
I remember that.
Yep. Then it kind of appears that the industry, that I guess there's a sugar industry out there, kind of got a hold of her, and her messaging changed. And it went from, hey, let's get sugar out of school lunches to let's exercise more. So we're okay with leaving the sugar, like vending machines that sell sodas and candies and treats at school that kids shouldn't be eating. Just, you can eat that, but you just got to go work out more, which I also believe in.
Sure.
I think
Yes,
working out's
being
great.
active.
But I think the big crux of this whole deal is we've got to get sugar out of schools.
Absolutely. I agree. It's terrible for us. It just fuels so many other health issues.
Yeah,
So
it does.
let's
Yeah,
eliminate it.
Well, it leads to childhood obesity,
Yes.
the adolescent diabetes that we're hearing about. And again, I reference the fact that back when I was in school, as a child, public school, options were very, very limited. When you got through the line, there was maybe a handful of options. Really, the only thing I could think of is the option was, did you want skim milk, whole milk,
Right.
chocolate
Or
milk?
chocolate.
Yeah, I think you get chocolate milk. That was
Right.
that was as sweet as it got. It was a little thing the size of a thimble of chocolate milk, right? So, now as an adult, I could drink 10 of those, but
Oh, yeah.
but the problem is in public schools, I think there's too much candy in there. And I've seen it. I've been to public
agree.
schools. I've gone to speak to youth groups and whatnot. And you walk through the food court, it looks like a food court at a mall.
I agree.
Yeah.
They have so many vending machines that's just so colorful with all these
Yeah.
just added terrible ingredients.
And we're scratching our head as to why we lead the world in obesity and childhood or
And-
adolescent diabetes.
And behavior issues.
And behavior issues. Yeah,
Right.
you fire up a little kid on sugar, man, it's going to take them a couple hours
That's
to
it.
wind down. And then what happens when they do wind down, they crash.
Yes.
And then they want to take a nap.
Right.
Nothing wrong with a nap. You're listening
rid
to the
of it.
Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Misha Maynor.
AI now touches nearly every part of life, from writing articles to even driving cars. But it raises a deeper question. If we created AI, where did our intelligence come from? The Bible says it's a gift from God. He gave us the ability to think, reason, and make sense of the world. Some assume Christianity is just blind faith, believing something is true because the Bible says so. But that's not the case. Genuine faith invites tough questions. It engages the mind. As one pastor said, you don't have to give up your intellect to trust the Bible. You have to give up your pride. Real intelligence isn't just logic or knowledge. It's knowing the God who made you and loving Him with every part of who you are, including your mind. This is Bryant Wright. Really, Bryant Wright, not AI, speaking right from my heart.
Seeking spiritual truth? RightFromTheHeart.org has resources just for you.
Are you considering selling your house or land, or perhaps finding your dream home? Call Stacy McCullers, your trusted real estate expert with 12 years of experience and a lifelong connection to Walton County. Stacy is here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're buying or selling, she's available anytime to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. Don't wait. Call today, 678-859-6336. A member of Malcolm & Malcolm Realty Professionals, Stacy McCullers, your realtor for life.
a Ford Bronco Sport for only $25,000. That's just one of the year-end deals at Aikens Ford in Winder. Hi, this is Brad Aikens, and through December 31st, take $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2025 Ford Broncos and Ford Bronco Sports. So you can drive a 2025 Ford Bronco Sport home starting at just $25,238. Stock number 04630, MSRP $35,238 with approved financing through Ford Credit and your 1995 Renew or Trade. Dealer retains factory rebates plus government fees. See dealer for details. Visit us today at AikinsFord.com.
Whether you're mowing, grading, or just taking care of your property, you need the proven reliability of #1 selling Kubota compact tractors to help you get it all done right. Stop by today. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment with 0% financing available or save up to $3,250. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Online at HayesTractor.com.
And welcome back. Marc McMain, our first guest, former House of Representatives in the state of Georgia, Misha Maynard. Misha, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Misha, by chance, were you at the event last night hosted by Shelley Winter? Because I stuck in there for about 20 minutes, said hi, and then got out of there. Were you there?
I was not, unfortunately. I was doing another campaign event, but Shelley is a really good friend of mine.
Well, he gave you a shout-out, and so I kind of scanned the room. I was there with my wife, so I was hoping to connect with you and say hi, because I haven't seen you since you came out and spoke to us at the Walton County GOP, which was, good Lord, I guess a couple years ago now. And so I was hoping to connect with you in person beforehand. So how's it going? Tell us, before we get into the campaign, let's do this. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and tell us about your family.
Okay. I am a native of Atlanta, Georgia, and my family is actually from Middle Georgia, so a place called Byronville, which is near Vienna and Montezuma, Georgia. We're farmers, and so we do produce down there, but up here in the city of Atlanta, I'm a mother of two. One is in college, and she's actually in London. She just got to London. She's studying abroad.
Wow.
My other little girl is 13. She's in an Atlanta public school and middle school. Two girl athletes. And, I have both of my parents are from Atlanta. I went to Atlanta public schools, and I'm just really excited to be running for this state school superintendent race.
Well, and I love the front row seat that you have to what is taking place in our school system, being that your daughters have one just passed through and one is in the middle of it. So you get to see the maturations and what's taking place every day. So that's a great perspective that you got.
Yes, and it's so many things that need to happen. And, I'm really excited about this campaign. One, just letting parents or guardians know the different options that are out there, but more importantly, what they should be expecting not only from the State Board of Education, but also their local school boards of education. A lot of things happen at the local level. We need a lot more accountability at that level, but to your point, just raising two children that have gone through the public school system, I've seen, what some issues are, but also I can give a shout out to the great teachers that are working really hard every day to educate our children.
Explain to our listeners, what is the role of the state school superintendent? Because a lot of people, what happens is this becomes a down ballot issue, right? Everybody's focused on governor, lieutenant governor, maybe some of the other seats. And when they get to this portion of the ballot, this is something that's, I firmly believe a lot of people, especially those that do not have school-age children, aren't paying attention to who's at the helm. And so let's first, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of a dive as to what the state school superintendent does so people really understand the importance of this position. Folks, you've got to do your research and understand who is on the ballot and what they're advocating for. Tell us about that, Misha.
Yes, so I will start with how important it is for the state school superintendent to really understand the legislative process. So being that I'm the only candidate that is a former elected official, in this capacity, being a legislator at the state level, you really do need a great relationship with the legislators. And the reason I say that is because the legislators create the laws. So a lot of the laws that we are implementing right now, let's just say financial literacy, that was actually one of the laws that I helped to get passed when I was a state legislator. The new literacy laws, those are laws that I helped to get passed as a state legislator. And so the state school superintendent really needs to be in the thick of things, if you will, because the state school superintendent, that role is to implement the laws that the state legislators impose onto the State Board of Education. State Board of Education also, which is the state school superintendent, if you will, is also the chair of the State Board of Education. That role is responsible for about 25% of Georgia's budget, and this role has the largest financial accountability piece to it in the entire state of Georgia. So whether you are a parent or not, if you are a taxpayer, you are paying into the public education system. And so
that's right.
What I would like to see is more of a return on our investment. In Georgia, we have schools that, some of the schools have a 0% reading proficiency. That is not a return on our investment, and we're no longer able to say put more money into the system. Mississippi is a prime example. If your listeners are not aware of what's going on in Mississippi, they were the bottom school in the country. Their school systems were the bottom in the country, and now Mississippi school systems have actually surpassed Georgia's public school system under our leadership. And right now we have someone that's been in office for over a decade. And that decade we've seen really our school system go down, and it's so important for us to have a change at the top. And someone that will be accountable and say, you know what, this is my responsibility. I'm responsible for these tax dollars. The 2 million plus kids in the school system, this is my responsibility. And we must also have an open line of communication with the parents. And I'll talk more about my past system as we go along in the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I got so excited about it.
It's all very good stuff, and it's very informative, and I appreciate you coming prepared. Our guest is Misha Maynor, formerly in the Georgia House of Representatives. Now she's running for state school superintendent. Misha, what is your day job? And again, we talk about this when we have people on the show who are part of the General Assembly, whether it's in the Senate or in the House. You can't survive on that wage. So everybody really has a career. They've got a job, something they're doing that they have to step aside from, go down during the legislative session, which can be up to 4 months, and then you kind of come back and put your life back in order. What do you do for a living?
That is a great question, and I really do think it's why I'm so prepared for this position. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. I've actually done a lot in my career. So I turned 50 last year. I'll be 51 this year. But I started off in public health, actually. I was the speechwriter for the Assistant Surgeon General at CDC way back when. And that was a big component to just educating people on public health, if you will. So I did that for a while. I also worked with Congressman John Lewis. This was, I was a Democrat before. We haven't gotten to that yet. But
sure. Yep.
Worked for Congressman John Lewis in his D.C. office. So I have some federal experience as well as in the legislative process. After that, I went to school, not after that, but I went to school to get my master's in physical therapy. And in that physical therapy role, I own my own business. I also was a director of rehab for Emory Healthcare, overseeing a multi-million-dollar budget.
Impressive.
And prior to that, I did stop therapy a little bit in the middle because I was raising children, and I realized that, the early learning centers that were around were not really up to par as far as what I was looking for as a parent. And so I actually started my own daycare in a suburban area of Atlanta called Sandy Springs, and I made it a language immersion program. So we taught children foreign languages, and they were by native-born speakers. I was actually given an award by Governor Nathan Deal at the time for having an exceptional early learning facility. And then after I left Emory, I kind of jumped all over the place with that. But after I left Emory, it was really just on my heart and my soul. We were on vacation, my children and I. My mom called me and said, "Hey, our city council person died." And it was a fleeting thought, "Oh, I'm going to run for office." And she was like, "Run for office? You're a physical therapist." And that thought just never left. And so I ran for the seat, not knowing that the council member really had been sick for quite a while with cancer. And so he lost his life. So there was a line of people waiting to run for this seat. I did very well, not knowing anything about politics. And I did not win that race, but let's talk about what happened in that race a little later, because it was a 2-vote difference, which is why it's so important to vote. It was a 2-vote difference between second and third place, and it went to court. And so at court, the judge actually said anybody can ask people questions as a litigant since I was on the ballot. So that was really interesting. So went through the General Assembly, and now I am back into healthcare consulting. So really just using my physical therapy, healthcare, and public health background to help businesses.
You've got a myriad of experience that you potentially could bring to the table. And I've always said I'm a fan of people who have owned their own business when they're running for office, especially offices like this, where, just like you mentioned, you have a budget, a very big budget in this case, that you're responsible for. And so to have that prior experience, that P&L experience that I call it, understanding how the basics of a business works, which means you got to take in more money than you shell out, that's always a great foundational start. And I think that's a great feather in your cap, if you will. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Misha Maynor, she's making her case as she's running for state school superintendent. When we come back, we're going to learn more about the pillars of her campaign.
Need a hot biscuit in the morning? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Need a hot lunch like chicken with some of your favorite side dishes? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. How about some yummy barbecue or Brunswick stew for dinner? You'll find that at Stripling's General Store. Plus there's ice, fuel, snacks, cold beverages, and so much more. It's your one-stop shop. That's Stripling's General Store. Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart. Open 7 days a week.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
Ready to grow your small business and reach thousands of new customers? Say hello to Town Values Magazine, formerly MTM Shopper, proudly serving the community for 22 years. Every month, thousands of magazines are mailed directly to homes in Walton, Oconee, Barrow, Rockdale, Newton, Gwinnett, and beyond to further expand your reach. Our magazine is packed with valuable coupons and services offered, helping families save money while supporting the community they love. We specialize in local direct marketing that works, building your brand, driving sales, and connecting you with the customers who matter most. Plus, we're online at townvalues.com and on Facebook and Instagram, giving your business even more exposure in print and digital. Ready to reserve your space in the next edition? Call Liliana at 770-267-6650. Town Values Magazine. Local, trusted, powerful. Helping businesses grow and families save.
Welcome back. Marc McMain. Our guest is Misha Maynor, formerly in the Georgia House of Representatives. And Misha, as you have mentioned, you were on the Democrat side of the equation, but you started to see some things that were unsettling to you, particularly as it pertains to school choice, and you made a tough decision to flip to the Republican Party, knowing this was going to, put you in the crosshairs because almost eliminated your chances of reelection.
Yes, I would not change a thing, though. When I got into politics, my mission was really to just serve the people like I would serve my patients and, what is best for them. And at that time, it was really my responsibility to go out into the community and see what was needed. A lot of the schools that I represented had the 0% reading proficiency. And so if you just think about that, if you walk into a school and not one single student can read on grade level, that's a problem. And the opportunity came up. We worked on the Georgia Promise Scholarship. Working on the education committee was so beneficial as just having a background to the state school superintendent race. But the Democrats were completely against school choice, giving people options. And for me, having an early learning center, having children that are very different, I understand that education is not about putting a child in a box. Every child is different, and they deserve an opportunity to have the best education that they can, and the parent should be involved in how that occurs. So right now the system, or back then the system was set up where parents were not able to really communicate the needs of their child. I'm really happy that I was a part of that. Another bill that came across the table was the Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Bill. As a physical therapist, I worked at Children's Hospital in the past. Just a child with a special need is near and dear to my heart. And so the fact that the Democrats were completely against giving children with special needs opportunities. There was the defund the police bill that I voted for the Republicans on. And it just really got to a point where I realized I wasn't a Democrat. And it took a second because you don't want to go against the group you're affiliated with, but my heart could not be on the same policy page for them. And so that's why I say I have no regrets. Being a legislator is a huge responsibility. It actually takes a lot of time because the bills are long, complex, and comprehensive. And I really wanted to be part of a team that was trying to look out for their community and putting the work in to actually read the bills and make sure we're making the right decisions, even if they're tough decisions.
I was on your website last night, and I was digging through some of, I like to call them the pillars of your campaign, which you have quite a few. I'm going to highlight a couple of these and then let you talk about them in the time that we've got. So mental health, student support services, that's one of them. Fiscal accountability and transparency. You already kind of touched on that in the prior segment. Career, technical, and workforce education. This is a big deal. We've had several guests on. As a matter of fact, about 2 weeks ago, we had a guest on that they have an academy where kids can come in. I say kids, young adults can come in out of high school and learn a trade. Not everybody's cut out for college. And then academic excellence. And I love that because that is the direction we have to take our state in. We cannot be, Misha, we're too good of a state to be even middle of the pack. We need to be at the top of the pack in these 50 states. We have too many resources, too many good people here that can put their efforts into this and turn this around. So let's touch on some of those if you want to start with the mental health.
Yes, so mental health is so important, and one of the things that I would like to see at the beginning of every school year, I don't believe in government raising a child. There are families that do need assistance as far as leading them in the right direction. But we have so many children having a lot of problems, lack of focus, that I think we need to make sure at the beginning of the school years we really lay out community resources to parents at the beginning of the year. There are kids that are having some mental health problems. Suicide rates are on a rise. And unfortunately,
Sad.
there are parents that are not aware of what some possible warning signs can be. This was a big thing for me. I had my little brother died by suicide.
I'm so sorry.
So
It's
mental health is, yes, it's devastating. And I think if a parent had the resources, you could save one life. That's so important.
That's right.
Jumping to the career technology piece, as a state legislator, I actually passed a bill. I created a state agency called the Fulton Technology and Energy Authority. What that is really about career, trade, and apprenticeship, because I realized in the community I represented, half of it anyway, a lot of kids were not going to college. A lot of kids were not even going to graduate from high school. And certainly a lot of the children were graduating and not reading on grade level, as evident by the 0% reading proficiency. So this just says, you know what, let's work with businesses, because all businesses do not necessarily need someone that has a college degree. Maybe they just need someone that is proficient and excellent in Photoshop or Microsoft Azure or whatever they need. And so FT is what we called it, for Fulton Technology and Energy Authority. It's certificate-based learning where we can identify something that's interesting to the child once they graduate and they go and get a job where it's a livable wage, and they can raise their family off of it. And you're right, Georgia has so many resources. I'm so happy that the Republican Party is in the majority to just make sure we're using our tax dollars appropriately. But as far as our trade, we really need to do more with that. I would say the State Board of Education, I would give them an 80, but to your point, we could be 100%. We have the largest airport, or the busiest airport in the country. We need to increase our aviation skills. We have a huge timber market. There are just so many natural resources that we have that we're not tapping into for our kids to be a part of if they choose not to go to college.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Misha Manor. She's running for state school superintendent. Something that you touched on that I want to just hit on for a second. We still have a few minutes left. You hit on the fact about mental health, and then we were just talking about this prior to you coming on the show. Diet. Does the state school superintendent, do they have a say? Can they push the direction of what our kids are actually eating in schools? And I'm not talking about getting into the actual ingredients of what's being served. I'm talking about eliminating sugar. And it's, look, I consider myself a relatively healthy guy, even though I do devour bowls of ice cream at midnight sometimes, which isn't the smartest thing in the world. But that being said, I understand that we do have a problem with adolescents, diabetes, and childhood obesity. And so is there any direction that the schools can that from this office, if you were to win, that can have a say in what goes into the diet of kids to be sure that they're eating healthy and that they're staying focused and they're performing better?
I'm going to answer that yes and no. And the reason I say that is the schools receive federal funding for meals. And so, thank God we have Secretary Kennedy at the helm, because he is with the Make America Healthy Again. He really has made a lot of initiatives in that front. But something that hasn't been done in the past, the state school superintendent has a platform that has never been used, right? With this platform, the state school superintendent has the voice of the parents, the business owners in the community, and the community as a whole to really say, hey, this should be important, and relay those things to the legislator. So the Board of Education can actually present what we call agency bills. And so I can present a bill to the state legislator on my behalf, on behalf of the State Board of Education, to fix things like the nutrition in the school. But a lot of it is dictated at the federal level as well, which is why I say yes and no.
And that makes sense. And I don't want to put you on the spot with that. I was just thinking if they could just eliminate the options for sugar, that's it. I think the school lunches are great. I've always been a big fan of school lunches. Of course, I wasn't real picky as a kid. I'd eat anything you put in front of me for the most part. But it's just the variety of sweets and treats that are available to them, I think, it has a detrimental. No, I don't think. I know it has a detrimental effect. And the product of that is that we see the rise in adolescent diabetes, the rise in obesity. So, yeah, that would be impressive to use that platform, like you said, and maybe massage the message and steer us away from that. Misha, if somebody wants to learn more about you, how do they find out about you if they want to maybe participate in your campaign, support you financially, or get involved?
So the website is MishaMainor.com, MESHAMAINOR. That is my handle for most of my social media, except Facebook is Misha for Georgia. I would love people to donate, and since we ended on health, I'm looking forward to working with a Georgia member named Bob Schwartz. He's working closely with the MAHA movement, and we plan to put on a parent conference about those things in the near future.
That's timely.
So stay tuned to that, and it'll be on my website.
That's great. Well, I hope you are getting your rest. I know a statewide race is a lot of driving, a lot of door knocking, a lot of pounding the pavement, but I see you out there, and I appreciate the good work that you're putting in, and we wish you the best, and keep us posted as to how you're performing.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. That was Misha Maynor. She's running for state school superintendent. Go to our website, Google her, learn more. We're going to try to get everybody on here. Everyone can make their case, but impressive.
She is very impressive.
Yeah.
I love what she's doing.
Yeah, and if you go to her website, she really has it all laid out. Yes. She's thinking outside the box on a lot of different things. So there were some things on there on her website that I'm like, I didn't even think about that for public schools.
Exactly.
So, yeah, very impressive. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, my buddy Chip Morris, he is the founder of Civics Academy. You're going to want to hear this. This is an entity that is out there doing good in our community, helping those that have maybe gone a little bit wayward and getting them back on track. We need more of this. Stick around.
John Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see them for all the ingredients, meals, snacks, sweets, gifts, and everything in between you need.
Is technology giving you a tough time at your home or business? Don't worry, Big Mountain Computers is here to help. We're your local tech experts, now open in Madison. Our white glove service ensures personalized solutions for all your IT needs. Hardware fixes, remote support, private lessons, and more. Visit us at Madison Plaza across from Ingalls or call 706-343-4184 to schedule your consultation. That's 706-343-4184. Big Mountain Computers, turning your mountains into molehills.
If you're selling or buying a home, you should call AM/PM Septic to inspect your septic tank. This could save you on costly repairs. AM/PM pumps your tank, fixes septic alarms, drain lines. They can fix any problem you're having with your septic tank. Call 770-231-7979. They do inspection letters. AM/PM is family owned and operated, licensed and insured company. Call David for all your septic needs. 770-231-7979.
I've got to tell you about the best kept secret in Monroe for electric wholesale supply, Allen's Electric. Family owned and operated since 1972, Allen's Electric offers a complete line of electrical supply, wiring, breakers, bulbs, heating elements, electric motors, light fixtures, and so much more. Located at 925 West Spring Street in Monroe, stop by and see Brian and Cindy, in business for over 50 years. That's Allen Electric Supply, 770-267-5572.
When looking for new shoes, the place to check out is K&D Shoes in Conyers. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, offering one of the largest selection of shoes for men, women, and for the kids. From name brands like Ariat, Rocky, Georgia Boot, Hey Dude, and others. You'll find everything from casual to work boots all under one roof. Be sure to see their great selection of outerwear from name brands like Carhartt, Ariat, and more. Need athletic shoes? Then see their great selection from brands like New Balance, Brooks, Reebok, Hoka, and more. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's K&D Shoes, 2250 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. Call 770-483-9037. Or to learn more and see their great selection, go to kndshoes.com.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest, Georgia House of Representatives Majority Leader Chuck F. Strachan. Leader F. Strachan, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know it is a crazy busy schedule for you today to visit with us for a minute.
Hey, Mark, great to be with you.
How did you get to hear the full State of the State address from the governor?
I did. We just left the House chamber. Governor just finished in the last little bit, and Governor gave a great speech, a lot of really interesting issues that I know we're going to be debating this year. And I think it's going to be a terrific, very productive legislative session.
Well, I know he had to knock it out of the park, and it's kind of surreal thinking this was his last State of the State speech. I mean, this past 8 years have been a blur.
Many accomplishments to talk about, from over $9,000 in teacher pay increase across the state, cutting over $9.5 billion in taxes, saving Georgians, from gas tax, income tax, just property tax, just in all areas, and with a plan to cut the state income tax further. Really, so many issues I could talk about. It was really, he had an amazing list of accomplishments from his 2 terms in office. Anytime
you're talking about putting money back in the pockets of like Governor Kemp likes to say, hardworking Georgians, is just a welcome message. So that's exciting. Looking forward to that. What are you keeping an eye on for this upcoming session? I know you've got a tremendous role under the Gold Dome. You're very busy. I've been down there from time to time to see you guys in action, and there is no rest for the weary. It seems like from 7:30 in the morning till sometimes 6, 7 at night, you guys are wide open. And again, I often like to remind our listeners, you have a business you're stepping away from in order to do this. You guys juggle a lot. So what are we keeping an eye on this upcoming session?
Mark, after the Biden presidency, with skyrocketing inflation from bad policy, people are just struggling right now financially. Their wallets are tight, and they're saying, hey, what relief can we look forward to? We have cut taxes substantially, as I was talking about, but this year there's going to be another cut in the state income tax that I expect will be passed, and the House is looking at eliminating property taxes for your home statewide. So with the homestead property tax, eliminating that altogether. That's really exciting. That'd be a tremendous savings. But also health insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, all these expenses continue to go up. So Representative Matt Reeves has been looking at ways that we can reduce insurance rates, anything that can help folks be able to better afford the expenses facing their families, I think is going to be needed relief, and that's what Republicans are looking at doing.
When I heard about the property tax initiative, obviously I'm licking my chops, right? That's, again, talk about putting money back in the pockets of Georgians. Obviously, I'm also a math guy. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm a math guy. Is there an explanation yet? Do they have a framework of what this looks like, or is that what they're going to work on now?
So I think the bill is going to be introduced here soon, but the Speaker of the House and the Republican caucus have been unified on wanting to address the elimination of property taxes on your homestead. And so I think that is going to be the focus of the legislation that will be introduced. As you know, we just started the legislative session on Monday. We're off next week for budget hearings. It's very standard that big bills like this are going to be introduced in the month of January or early February. So we have time to put this out there, get into all the details, but the destination desired here is very clear. It's eliminating property taxes on your home.
Yeah, that'll be, like I said, that would be very, very impactful to people who are already strapped as it is. It is, inflation has gotten us, and disposable income is down to a bare minimum, so every bit counts. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Georgia House of Representatives Majority Leader Chuck F. Strachan. Chuck, something I had asked you to kind of queue up for us. My dad is one of your constituents. He lives in Hamilton Mill. Obviously a big fan of yours. I know he probably sends you an email or shoots you a message at least once a week just to be sure that you're apprised of what he's thinking about. But something that he's been very impressed with, and something I think our listeners will be very impressed to learn about, is how you guys went about forming Mulberry. Can you walk us through what was the initiative on that, and how did you do it?
So in northern eastern Gwinnett County, where I live, the problem was that the county commission wasn't listening to us for planning and zoning. We saw high-density zoning proposals when the areas already were facing strangling traffic congestion, school overcrowding concerns. And so bottom line is we brought a bill at the State House to create a new city, 41,000 residents. Now, it had to be passed by a referendum. But the cool thing that was included in this is no city property taxes. So the city would just collect money that's already being received by, or was being received by the county in the unincorporated area, just the city would get it now. And Mark, it's been a great success, really a year and a half since this has been in place, and it's really it's happened just the way we hoped it would, which is the city is now allowing for input as to what type of future is best for planning and zoning purposes. And I think the city is going to be a model for how to do it right elsewhere in the state.
I think it's brilliant because when I go to visit my dad and I'm coming up Hebron Road, then you kind of dogleg in on Jim Moore Road. Two things that strike me. Number one is the traffic, and number two, the amount of developments that keep coming on there, which just, I don't know how it holds that. So this had to happen. I mean, it was, when you go up there at 5 o'clock, it could take you an hour just to move 5 or 6 miles.
Well, I think two things. First of all, whatever the county commission had approved before the city was created, you can't just undo that. There's kind of grandfathering
in the way.
Yep. And so that confuses some folks. But also, it's hard for people sometimes to support another layer of government. They say, why do I want a city government? I don't need more government. But the truth is, if you have a county of over 1 million people with Democrat leadership at the top of the county, they're not listening to me already. We needed a city that was actually responsive to us, that cares about this overcrowding issue, make sure that we actually have the infrastructure to support the growth. It's not that I'm anti-growth. We just want responsible growth. We just want, responsible growth, a thoughtful way that's not going to keep us locked up in traffic for 30 minutes to go less than 5 miles.
Are there lessons that other communities could apply from what you guys just did with Mulberry? And was there a proof of concept that you guys went to pull this off? I mean, this was not easy. This had to be a complex deal.
We have received questions from others in other parts of Georgia interested in trying to do what Mulberry has done. And I think that Mulberry is a great model for how to do this right. The Mulberry model was really created looking at several different cities that don't have a property tax and are able to make it financially, cities that have come about in recent years. When I started this thing, Mark, I said the city's got to have two components here. It's got to have no property tax, and it has to be come into be from a referendum. Well, there's a lot of people that developers particularly who don't want controlled growth. They just, they like it the way it is. So there's going to be people who come out and oppose it. Certain folks just oppose any type of new city. So it takes a lot. We did a series of town halls explaining to voters, and I'm so glad that it passed. I think it's going to have, decades from now, we'll look back on this and say that was the right move for the Mulberry residents.
Marc McMain, our guest is Chuck F. Strachan. He is the House Majority Leader, or Georgia House Representatives Majority Leader. Butchered that just a little bit. Personal priorities coming into this legislative session. We got a few more minutes, Chuck. Anything that you are wanting to get across the finish line?
I want to cut taxes as much as possible, and I represent a district that includes Appalachia High School. School safety is a top priority. It's got to continue to be. We had a very meaningful school safety bill that passed last year, and I think that you're going to see additional legislation this year to make sure every parent can drop their student off knowing they'll be able to pick them up safe at the end of the day. We've got a focus on childhood literacy across the state and home affordability for first-time home buyers. So many young people right now can't buy their first home. The way that they really build wealth for the rest of their life. Average first-time home buyer's age is 38 right now. So we got to build up to address that as well.
Yeah, the idea of the American dream of owning a home is kind of slipping away. So that, I think that's a great priority as well. Chuck, if somebody wants to learn more about you, you're on a 2-year term, which means you're always running for re-election. If somebody wants to find out about your initiative, support you, whatever it may be, how do they find out about you?
Sure. My website's chuck4house.com, chuck4house.com, or the Georgia General Assembly has a webpage. You can just search that online and be able to watch our session, our committee meetings. It's an honor to represent parts of Gwinnett, the Mulberry area, and Barrow County at the state capitol.
That's fantastic. I greatly appreciate. I know you guys are busy. Appreciate you taking the time to chime in. And we may reach out to you again, if you don't mind, middle of the session when things are really brewing, to kind of pick your brain as to what's taking place. You can give us a front row seat of what we're looking at and what's going on down there.
Anytime, Mark. It's great to talk with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Chuck Evstration, Georgia House of Representatives Majority Leader. When we come back, now we've got Mr. Chip Morris in the house. So no false alarm this time. Stick around. You want to hear this.
Franklin's Gun Shop in Athens has everything you need for hunting and fishing. They have great prices on their guns, ammo, scopes, bows, gun safes, knives, blinds, tree stands, and rod and reels, clothing, and more. I do all of my shopping at Franklin's, and they're open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 9 to 9 and Sunday noon to 6. At Franklin's, you'll get great customer service from people who know what they're talking about. Family owned since 1961, located at 3941 Atlanta Highway in Athens.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
Keep your vehicle looking and running like new with help from the Wow Express in Monroe, offering a state-of-the-art drive-through vehicle car wash that includes free vacuums, window cleaner, and so much more. Be sure to check out their unlimited wash club that saves you money. Open 7 days a week at 911 North Broad Street in Monroe and their second location at 242 North Broad Street in Winder. To learn more, go to wowwashandlube.com.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
Do you have unwanted or scrap gold and silver jewelry just lying around? What about sterling flatware or gold and silver coins and bars? Madison Coin and Bullion will pay top dollar for any precious metals you own. Madison Coin and Bullion also offers a large selection of gold and silver coins and bullion available to purchase at competitive prices. And if you're looking to purchase jewelry at a considerably lower price, look no further than Madison Coin and Bullion. Madison Coin and Bullion, located at 2492 Eatonton Road in Madison, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Roll-Off Systems of Statham, they're on a roll. They offer dumpsters in all sizes, trash compactors, porta potties, and new combo cans. Existing sites are new building sites. Trash and waste disposal, it's their business. Locally owned and operated. Call Roll-Off Systems today. 770-725-ROLL. That's 770-725-ROLL. Or go to rolloffsystems.com.
Real country. This is Q92.3 WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our next guest, Chip Morris, and I butchered the name earlier. I called it Civics Academy. I didn't realize it's went through a name change. Chip, thanks for joining us, and tell us the real name of the company.
Well, Mark, first, thanks for having me. And, it's Pro Civica.
I like that. That's got a nice ring to it.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, we're going to do a deep dive into what you do. I've been kind of setting the table throughout the show today because I really feel it is a tremendous benefit to not just our community, but everywhere that you guys reach. But before we get into the meat and potatoes on that, you and I were sharing some stories. You had some background with our sister station, WKUN.
I did, just a little.
So Dad owned the station?
He did. He started it back in 1972.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually worked at the Department of Agriculture in between the time he was WMRE. He worked for Tommy Irvin. He was his communications and PR guy.
Okay.
But he always wanted to own his own radio station, so he worked for years and finally got the frequency, and in 1972 went live.
And so was the tower that we have on Cherry Hill Road, which is now 1490 WKUN, we've got the FM translator, 102.5 FM.
Yes.
Was the tower always in the same spot?
It was, yes.
Okay, but the studio was not here. The studio's in downtown Monroe.
Correct. It was at two different locations. One was on, East Spring Street, then it moved to West.
Yeah, yeah. What was the format?
It was country. It was real country.
So it's country music.
It was always country.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so now we are the Good Time Oldies over on our sister station. So you're going to hear hits from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I think you may have chimed in on a website post where I said, man, you know you're old when you listen to the oldies station. And I think it was either Kiss or Journey popped up. And I'm like, this is not oldies. This is just 70s and 80s. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Well, I guess it's oldies.
That's crazy that you would hear Kiss on WKU, and my dad would be freaking out.
Aww.
He used to call me when I was DJing on Saturdays and Sundays, and I would play a Marshall Tucker song or a Leonard Skinner song. He's like, "What are you playing? That's not country."
Oh, I love it. What a great story.
Well, he paved the way for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That he did.
We got to take you over there and give you a tour of the facility on Cherry Hill, because that you said your dad built that building by hand.
Yep.
And it stood the test of time because it is rock solid.
Yep.
But I will tell you this, Chip, when you walk into that building, it is like going into a time capsule. There's equipment back in there that's got to be 50 years old or older. And then actually some old paraphernalia. I found an old rate card. Didn't say a date, but I'm going to guess that rate card was 80s, 90s maybe. Does that sound about right?
Could be. It depends on what it looked like. If it was a tan one with the van on it, it might have been late 70s.
So that's what it is. It was the tan one with the. I got plenty of them. I'm going to give you some of those.
Yeah.
So it's the old rate card chassis, and now get this: the rates back then were higher than what we're charging now. So WMOQ is doing everything in our power to fight this inflation.
Absolutely.
We're keeping advertising low.
That's
but,
right.
But think about this: if you were a business back in the 70s or 80s, your radio bill was higher. Your radio advertising bill was higher than what we're charging now.
That's it. That's insane.
Bizarre.
That is bizarre and insane.
But it's a great station, WKUN. It's our sister station, Oldies. And then the real unique thing now with technology is we can stream the station.
Yeah.
And so when I'm not listening to country music, I stream that station. I can be on the beach somewhere and listen to, Good Time Oldies. And it's just a lot of fun. We really enjoy it.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the Pro Civica.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, family, and then maybe what led you into this type of work.
Sure. Well, born and raised Monroe. Was a DJ from age 8 to 18. So
all right, that's a little early. That's an early start.
I got a real early start. I don't know if that was child labor infractions or not, but I had a good time and enjoyed every
When you're
bit
working
of
for
it.
Dad, no child labor laws.
Listen, I loved every bit of it. And it sort of set me up to do some music industry stuff later in life. But I went to the University of Georgia, became a psychotherapist, had a private practice for years in Monroe, worked at the mental health center, did a lot of that. And while I was doing that is when I really found my passion, and that was working with court systems and first and second offenders, helping them make better decisions. Because most of the time these are young people who are not criminals. They just did not learn the rules of the road.
Made a bad mistake, bad choice.
Bad choices because they were just trying to survive, or they became disconnected from their family values. And what we teach is American values.
Yeah.
That is the whole premise, and that's what I love so much about what we do, is that we're helping people get back in the lane of being an American citizen and plugging into the opportunity that's there. So that's really my career trajectory. Now, I did mention music. I did do a little bit of a venue managing and band managing for a few years.
Yeah.
Loved it. Just there's not much of a living in it unless you're in Nashville and your name's Chris Stapleton or something,
Yeah, it's fun to do, but it's not going to pay the bills.
Correct.
Yeah. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chip Morris. He is the owner of Pro Civica, used to be called Civics Academy. I know your son has a big role in this. You guys actually were kind of partners at one point. Your son Caleb, wonderful young man. I got to know Caleb. He was a little bit older than my boys and had just graduated from George Walton Academy when my kids were playing soccer. And Caleb would come back on days where he had off and he would come and he would train with the kids, right? Just kind of add whatever he could to the equation and helping us improve that program. And then we formed a friendship. He actually helped me on my campaign when I ran for Congress 4 years ago. Brilliant young man. I got to have a front row seat to him and how sharp he was. And I know you're a proud dad because now he went to the Georgia Law.
Yeah, he sure
passed
did.
the bar.
Yeah, he's studying for the bar right now.
Oh, he's studying for the bar right now?
Bar right now. He takes
Bar's no joke.
No, it's not. He's taking it in February, and he also got his MBA too. So,
wow,
which is very important to me. Because he still is my partner.
He's
still our. He's a partner now. He was our chief operating officer, but when he took his law job at Hall Booth and Smith in Atlanta, he had to step aside. But he's still a partner.
Is he living in Atlanta now?
He is. He's
okay.
living in Midtown.
Well, good for him. Good for him. Let's talk about fatherhood. How important was this when you're out there, you are trying to help young people, whether both men and women, boys and girls, trying to get them on the right. But also, I would imagine you're looking at all this through the lens of a dad.
Absolutely. Yes, being a father is the most important thing in my life, as I'm sure it is for you as well,
Sure.
Mark.
Yep.
And I'm very fortunate. Yeah, I spent a lot of time raising my son, but when he became a young man, our friendship just solidified further, especially during COVID. That's when things really got tight because he had graduated UGA, and he was at home, so he was somewhat stuck, but not really. It wasn't really a stuck position because it gave us an opportunity to become business partners. He helped me actually take my company online, so that was so meaningful to me that we did that together. We were talking about radio earlier. I was working with my father, helping him make additions and changes to his business, and now my son's doing the same thing. So yeah, it's a huge part of what I do, and I actually miss him. I did speak to him before I was coming here. I told him where I was coming. He said to tell you hello.
Please tell him hello. Yeah.
I will. He's just a great young man, and he inspires me every day.
Yeah, you're right. I cherish the opportunities now that both of my boys have moved out of the house to go and visit with them. Something as simple as my son Marc is calling saying, "Hey, Dad, can you come meet me for dinner?" And he lives down in Dunwoody. I'm going.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what's happening.
Absolutely.
I'll fight traffic or have a late dinner. We did it last night. Went and took he and his girlfriend out to a late dinner at an Italian restaurant in Atlanta and just had a great visit. And so those moments are, although fleeting, they're precious when you have them.
Yeah.
Was there a moment that you realized when you wanted to take Civics Academy at the time, now Pro Civica, that you're like, hey, this is something I want to make a career? Take us through the maturation, and we'll save the second segment for the nuts and bolts and really what you do. But how did the formation start?
Sure. Well, I went through a lot of different aspects of my career, different areas, mental health center, behavioral health link, various places I worked. When I went full-time private practice, I knew this was what I really enjoyed. And also I knew it was a good business model. It's mandated classes, usually through the court system. So I knew that this was something I could do and do at scale. That's what I was really thinking about. What can I do to reach a lot of people? So when we went online, I knew that was it. When we were able to start teaching classes all over the state and outside of Georgia, I knew we were doing something big. And that's when I really shifted my energy. I'm an idea guy, so it doesn't take much for me to start going in this direction or that direction, a little ADD as well.
Yeah, but you put your time into it. You put your thoughts behind it. Yeah.
So when I saw this, I knew I had to shut down all of those other noises and focus on this and really take this to the next level. And that's what we've been able to do.
What are you concerned about with young people? Understanding civic citizenship, being responsible. You talked about that earlier. Are you seeing a graduation of disconnect from those values?
Absolutely. And it's the devices. It really is.
Comes up all the time on our show, Chip.
Yeah.
All the time.
And it will continue to do so because that is, when we talk about community, you and I see it differently. We have a different definition than a lot of the young folks. Their definition of community is Instagram.
Right.
You know, that's their community. How connected are they there, as opposed to how connected are they to their neighbor or to volunteering in their community and participating in communities. That's the real community. So yeah, I do. I see them going down a dark path, and we better get a hold of it. We're seeing a lot of legislation now in places like Australia and now here in the States, keeping phones out of the hands of kids in schools.
Yeah, we talked about that, what Australia did, the law that they passed, and now Georgia has implemented some ground rules in schools. I think it starts with the middle schools. This may advance to high schools. I think it's a must. And I guess the argument from some of the parents are, well, I need to be in touch with my child 24/7. I don't agree with that. I think when they're at school, there's a window. Look, you and I didn't have cell phones when we were kids.
Nope.
And the old saying is we turned out pretty good.
Yep.
And so I think the damage done by having them is far greater than the potential damage done by not having them.
Absolutely.
And it's bizarre because I will go into school sometimes to speak. I do the financial literacy courses at various places at high schools and whatnot. And it shocks me how many kids have access to their phone and they're willing to break it out and engage in the middle of a presentation.
Absolutely.
It's rude on many levels. They're missing out on what I think is a valuable message that I'm sharing with them, right? I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it there for the betterment of them. And then it's shocking that the teachers even allow it. So it's weird how I think there was a fight against it at first. Everybody gave up and said, do what you're going to do. And now the state has come down and said, nope, we got to stop this. We have a problem.
Yes. I mean, you have to take a strong stance. You can't just throw your hands up and say, well, we all have phones. What are we going to do about it? Or you can say, no, we have to do something because this is about the health of our children and their ability to interact with one another and emote and deal with their own emotions. Again, they can't do that when it's all about like or dislike, swipe left, swipe right. It's more about looking at people in the face and talking and listening to them. You're speaking to them and they're on their phone.
Right.
My dad would have... he would not have appreciated it very much.
Yep. No, there would have been some backhanding going on, and that's it. It's just a different deal, but it has to be addressed.
Yes, it does.
Marc McMain, our guest, Chip Morris, Civics Academy, now called Pro Civica. Let's talk about some of the early challenges that you had getting this going. I know part of it would probably be just getting somebody to buy into what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. There are a lot of classes out there, always have been. But they're standard classes with a lot of clinical material. So when you're sitting there teaching somebody just out of a book and you're not connecting with them and you're not connecting what you're teaching them to their real world, that was the challenge, is starting there.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to come up with something. We actually created Pro Civica, the curriculum and the approach is combining not just cognitive behavioral principles, which is how to change your thinking and feeling and doing, but why and where. You're an American, you're not in China, you're not in Russia, you're not in an apocalyptic world, you're in a world of laws, social contract, and opportunity. And if you don't understand those three things, you're not going to thrive, you're going to survive and thus make bad decisions. So it was getting people to see that and getting judges then in court systems to see once we took it online that online courses were just as effective, if not more, than in-person classes. So that was a huge challenge, still is.
Which makes it scalable.
It makes it scalable, but it also, these folks who are, you take 20 kids who have been making mistakes and put them in a room together, what are they going to do? They're going to be on their phones.
They're going to play off each other.
And they're going to talk to each other. How do you get away with the crime instead of how do you avoid committing it?
This is the one area where we allow technology, where we like technology. It works here. It does. Because you have to isolate them, but you still have to speak to the masses.
Correct.
If you go onesie twosie all the time, then you're not going to reach the kids that you have to reach. And I say kids, I know this is young adults.
Yeah,
it's a myriad of people that you're addressing. Before we take our first break, describe the core mission of Pro Civica in one or two sentences. If somebody's just tuned in and they're not quite following what we're saying yet, just in one or two sentences, tell us what it is. If you can sum it up that easily.
Yeah, I can. It's basically we're trying to teach people how to make better decisions and connect to the American opportunity. It's really that simple. Changing communities one citizen at a time.
Marc McMain Show, our guest Chip Morris. When we come back, we're going to dig into the nuts and bolts of how this operates, what it looks like, and we'll even maybe take from the perspective of the user end. What are they seeing and what are they hearing? Stick around. You're going to want to hear this.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Anytime is a great time to make memories of the Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary in Lilburn. Close to home and fun for the entire family. Not only will you see wildlife up close, like bears, otters, bison, and more, you can enjoy a picnic lunch. There's gem mining and so much more. The Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary, 4525 Highway 78 in Lilburn. Make plans to visit soon. To learn more, go to yellowriverwildlifesanctuary.com.
Big news, Georgia drivers. DJ's Collision is on the move and is proud to announce their brand new home in Madison. After many years of service in Social Circle, the same team you know and trust is back with a fresh new look and location to serve you best. From flawless paint jobs to complete bodywork, DJ's Collision is where your car gets a second chance to shine. Check out their brand new location in Madison at 1231 Woodcraft Road. That's DJ's Collision. Give them a call at 770-760-8214.
Welcome back. Marc McMain. Our guest is Chip Morris. We're digging into ProCivica. This is the foundation entity that he has formed. And I'm going to let you explain, Chip, again, pretending somebody just tuned in, don't know what we're talking about. Just give us that one or two sentences of what Civics Academy, ProCivica now, what they do.
Sure. ProCivica really is two things. ProCivica is our approach, and it is trademarked. It's a combination of cognitive behavioral principles and American civics. And when I say civics, I mean social contract, rule of law, and how to plug into the American opportunity. The other thing is the actual company itself, ProCivica. We actually provide e-learning for first and second offenders, and we're branching out. We're going to be moving into schools, and we're going to be hopefully moving into prisons.
That's fantastic, because what your mission is you want to capture somebody before they do something really bad.
Correct.
Your goal is, so you've identified that, hey, a young person gets in trouble, and I keep saying young person. I don't think, is there an age limit on what you do?
No, there's not, but typically it's 12 to 18 for our juvenile
That's your
population,
target, okay.
and then 18 and up for our adult population.
So you've got a person that they committed a crime, and it's their first offense, or like you said, second offense, and your mission is to get in there before, and I'm assuming that once they commit the third crime, maybe the trajectory really changes, and it's even harder to reach them.
It is, no doubt about it. So what you're asking basically is how do they enter our system,
Yeah.
and how do they take our courses? So if somebody goes in front of a municipal judge or a state court judge and they've committed their first offense, misdemeanor, they put on probation or pretrial, and part of that typically is a course. And we've been slowly growing across the state, so now we're the go-to because we offer something different. So they're ordered to take our class, and they can go online, and it's completely online. They don't interact with anybody, although our courses are very cutting edge. It's AI-driven but people-focused.
Okay.
So we do meet people where they are, and depending on how they take our class or the answers they give, it'll take them down a different path. So it's very interactive. Then they get their certificate, and now we built dashboards for the court systems it's free, totally free for the court systems and probation. They can go on and monitor their progress, send them messages, see their certificates. So everything now is tight, and so for the system itself.
So it's not a live class then.
No,
so
it's not.
So it's a product that they can then participate with at their discretion.
Absolutely.
So whenever they want to, and then like you said, they go in, and depending upon what buttons they push and what answers or questions they answer, it's tailored to kind of fit that scenario.
Correct, and they can take it on a phone, tablet, any device, anytime.
That's fascinating. Yeah, really. Did it start that way? Was it like that in the beginning, or were you doing it like live Zoom calls?
We were doing live classes up until COVID.
Yeah.
And COVID was sort of a gut punch. We were across the entire state, and all of a sudden went to 0. So that's when Caleb and I really decided we needed to take this online. And so it's been some iterations, but now we actually own our own technology. We've invested quite a good bit in our technology, so we can offer that dashboard and the cutting edge technology.
Making it very intuitive, absolutely, easy to cycle through and operate.
Yes.
So your work goes beyond textbooks and government structure. I know it's called civics, which I think the first thing that happens to me when I hear the word civics is I sweat a little bit because I think of 9th grade high school, maybe not my best class, even though I turned out to be a pretty good boy. But you go beyond that. What life skills and values are you trying to teach alongside this?
Well, it's accountability mainly. That's probably the underpinning, is that our society and social contract rule of law is based on accountability and family values. So we really try to reconnect people back to those values. And what we found is most folks have been exposed to it, but they've been distracted for so long by so many other things. We have to pull them back and remind them, this is how you get to keep what you've earned.
Yeah.
You go out there and commit crimes, it doesn't get you anywhere. If you go get a diploma, or if you work a job and show up and do the work and follow the law and be a part of your community, it's going to hold you up. And so what we try to do is to reconnect people back to those values.
I think a lot of young people are growing up in a time where the homes are maybe not quite the same, right? Maybe they didn't have the relationship with the fathers or the parents like you and I've had. And unfortunately, we had a young lady on just a month or two ago, talked about how at a young age her parents were both addicted to drugs. How much of an uphill battle is that when all of a sudden now you're trying to combat 12, 15, 20 years of really poor influence from the parental side of the structure, and you're trying to fix it in just a matter of hours or days?
Right. Well, there's no way we can go in and solve that overnight, but by working with young people and teaching them what we're teaching them, they're going to be better parents. We actually get an opportunity to get parents to take our class, especially with DJJ. We work with the Department of Juvenile Justice across the state, and we actually offer our parenting class for free.
That's interesting.
We gave that to the state of Georgia for free, no cost at all to the state or anybody that uses it, so we can get to the parents and teach them what we're teaching their kids.
Are you able to monitor to see if that's being accessed? Is there any data that you get?
Yes.
So parents are engaging in
Absolutely.
This. I love that. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. So it's another tool to strike from that end of the equation.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we're going to get to it. You're right. We do need parents involved in their kids' lives, but there's no quick fix to that.
Yeah. No, there's not. It is. It's a difficult subject. Marc McMain, our guest Chip Morris, talking about Pro Civica. This is a fantastic organization that really tries to step in when young people or young adults make bad decisions. Maybe they had a misstep or two, and to get them on the right track before it gets worse. Why is it so critical to the health of our society?
Well, if we want a society that's cohesive and moving forward and giving opportunity to their kids, we need to give them the tools.
Yeah.
The tools are right there. Again, this is not something we have to invent. We just need to reconnect to them.
Yeah, reconnect. I like that. And I think, too, with the technology that you use, and it's a good platform, I'm not saying that they're breaming to get online and execute this class. Obviously, it's mandated, right? They get in trouble, so they have to do it. But I think the idea that it's maybe in an environment where it is a little bit more engaging maybe has a plus side to this as well. Are you getting any feedback from your contacts in the on the end user side for you, which is the Department of Justice? Is that right? Is it
Department of Juvenile Justice?
Juvenile Justice.
Yep.
So are you getting any feedback from them as to how this is working, and is there any moniker of success that you can demonstrate?
Absolutely. On a daily basis, we get feedback from the probation officer out in the community to the actual director at the state level. They're looking at completion rates. So we have an 80% completion rate, which is huge.
So they're assigned the project, and 80% of them are getting it done.
Correct.
Yep.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a great number.
They have the recidivism numbers, which we're going to be working on with them over the next year to really nail them down. But we're looking at a high level of effectiveness, probably around 10% recidivism.
So 10% they go through the course actually get in trouble again.
Correct.
That's a startling. So 90% have said, hey, you know what? I want to kind of shift gears. I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
Wow. That's fantastic.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah. Great numbers. Great numbers. What's the future for you guys? What's next? Are you just in the state of Georgia, or where do you guys cover?
We launched October 21st as ProCivica. When we did that, we launched nationally. So we just brought on our new Chief Growth Officer, who was the Deputy Commissioner of DJJ, actually.
Okay.
And he is helping us look at other states, other opportunities. And right now, we're wanting to go into the next stage, which is not just prevention, but getting people who are in our prisons, who are ready to come back out and re-enter society, prepare them for re-entry.
Yeah.
So we're looking at putting our system and our dashboard and our courses into the prison systems.
I love that. Yeah, because think about this. If you've made a terrible mistake and you've gone in, you've served 5-10 years, I don't even know what tools are available to those people to re-assimilate, right? To get back in and find a job and hopefully not just say, you know what? We've all seen the movie Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. Great example, right? Where as though some of those that were getting out didn't know how, granted that's a movie set in old times, but I think there's value in that. They didn't really know how to get back into society and perform and contribute.
Exactly. I mean, we're not going to be a fix, a be-all for everybody. We're not the magic pill, but we're a component of that.
But Chip, nothing is. If you think about every facet of life, there is no magic pill in anything. It's all just we're just trying to knock off little bits and pieces. No pun intended, we're trying to chip away, right?
Right.
So when you look at something like what you're doing, maybe you and what you and Caleb have started and what y'all are doing with ProCivica, combined with maybe a pastor of a church, a mentor in their life, an uncle that is saying, hey, you got to get your life straight. All that comes together, and then you have success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's part of what we teach. We help them identify those strengths and those tools in their world.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Yeah. So we are just one piece, but we're an important piece. We're reminding people of those strengths and those tools that are available to them.
You may be the first step, you may be the last step, but somewhere along the line, you're part of that process of these young men and women who are showing the 90% success rate that are actually completing your course.
Exactly.
So, love that. I'm going to give you the last minute. Any message that you want to leave, whether it's for parents, educators, community leaders, people that are in the system that are struggling, people that have had a hard time. What do you want to share with them?
Well, I would like to say go to procivica.com, but that's really not what I want to say here. Reconnect. Take their phones away.
Yeah.
Be strong. Do it. Spend time. I'm actually rewatching The Waltons right now. I grew up watching that show, and you know what? It made a difference for me as a kid because I was being modeled what a family looks like.
Yeah.
I didn't need that because I already had it, but we need to get back where family, friends, neighbors, community matters.
Yeah.
It comes first. That's what we really need to read. It's not even about politics or policy. It's just about being human.
That's right.
It's about being a family and a family unit and a community unit. That's what I would say.
Doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing.
I'm a Andy Griffith fan. They still play the reruns. Do they play the Waltons anywhere?
They play the Waltons and I went through Mayberry, saw Andy Griffith about 10 times. So I started with the Waltons now. So
I like Little House on the Prairie.
Where do you get to see that? Where?
On the old rerun.
The TV Land?
Yeah, TV Land.
Do they play
That's
it?
They do.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You can get Andy Griffith just about any night.
Oh, yeah.
You tune that in.
That's a classic.
That is a
Yes.
classic. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that we had on before, leader F. Stration, Chuck F. Stration, they named that town Mulberry. I don't know what the origin of that is. I think it has something significant to that geography. Yeah. It made me think of Mayberry. So maybe they're trying to capture that. That's right.
Simple
Absolutely.
times.
Simple times.
Yes.
Chip, this is a lot of fun. I enjoyed the little history lesson on WKUN.
Sure.
I always learn something new.
Yeah, I look forward to going to the tower.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We'll go check it out. Open the door. You're going to walk back
great.
into time. That'll be a lot of fun. But I appreciate what you're doing, what you guys have done with ProCivica. We're praying that this continues and that you have the success you guys are looking for and that it does reach nationwide. I think everybody needs a little bit of this.
Yes.
No doubt.
I love it.
And tell Caleb we said hi.
You got it.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest, my friend, Dutch Guest, candidate for Georgia House 121. We'll be right back.
When it comes to tasty treats, the only place you need to be is Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Offering high-quality Georgia pecans, other nuts, dried fruits, coffees, and candies, Stone Mountain Pecan has it all. And the best part, it's all online at stonemountainpecan.com. Or take it all in person and visit their country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Something for everyone. Eat well, be happy.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152. Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
Ready to grow your small business and reach thousands of new customers? Say hello to Town Values Magazine, formerly MTM Shopper, proudly serving the community for 22 years. Every month, thousands of magazines are mailed directly to homes in Walton, Oconee, Barrow, Rockdale, Newton, Gwinnett, and beyond to further expand your reach. Our magazine is packed with valuable coupons and services offered, helping families save money while supporting the community they love. We specialize in local direct marketing that works, building your brand, driving sales, and connecting you with the customers who matter most. Plus, we're online at townvalues.com and on Facebook and Instagram, giving your business even more exposure in print and digital. Ready to reserve your space in the next edition? Call Liliana at 770-267-6650. Town Values Magazine. Local, trusted, powerful. Helping businesses grow and families save.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our next guest, Dutch guest, ran to replace Marcus Wiedauer back in December special election. The world was shocked. Dutch was an absolute rock star candidate. Fantastic team behind him. The community supported him. Republicans were asleep at the wheel. Best way to describe it. And we've all been guilty of it. We're going to fix that. Republicans are going to get more engaged, and Dutch has decided to run again. Welcome to the show, Dutch.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
getting me out there, and I appreciate you reminding everybody that we were 197 votes close
that was tight.
Away.
That was tight.
From getting there. But, I blame the SEC championship.
That could have been it. That absolutely could have been it. I was out having dinner with my family, and I got a message from our buddy Jeff Hood. And so, but you know what? I told you this. I remember called you the next day. I think I texted you that night. I called you the next day, and I said, what does Houston Gaines, legendary Walton County Sheriff Joe Chapman, Jody Heiss, Congressman Mike Collins, and more have in common? They all lost their first race.
That's right.
And so sometimes the path of victory goes through defeat. It's just part of the process. Matter of fact, this exact scenario took place in 2017 in this exact House seat. So it's not unprecedented.
That's right. Yeah. It's one of those things that we knew. I mean, we basically had 1 week to mobilize, and then we had, 3 weeks to campaign through Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it just, we felt like we knew we were going to have an uphill battle, because my opponent had ran several times and they were already mobilized and motivated. But, we've learned a lot. We feel a lot better about this next cycle. And we're just going to I'm going to get in front of everybody I can, get the word out.
Well, and as Republicans, we ask for candidates who have lived real life, that have owned businesses, worked in corporations, that have raised families, lived in our communities, and you check every one of those boxes, right? You've been there and you've done that. And the reason it's so important is when you get to office, there's nothing that you're going to see legislatively that you haven't had firsthand experience with, right? There's going to be things that come across your desk that you're going to be like, hey, yeah, I've gone through this, I've lived this. And whether it was as a business owner or working for a company or whatever your path was, but But I think that's so important because there's this appetite, we like to call it, for an outsider, somebody that hasn't spent their entire career in the political realm.
Right.
And that's what we get with Dutch.
Right. So, I grew up on a small poultry and cattle farm in Georgia, in Hall County. I graduated from North Hall High School, played football there. I used to have to pick up dead chickens before I went to school.
That's a great way to start the day. I thought you were going to say you had to pick up eggs.
Yeah. No, we had broilers. So and then we had cows, we had calves. I raised several calves myself. It hurt when I had to sell them at auction, but again, played football, went down to Valdosta State, got recruited by the great Kirby Smart down there.
That's a great story. So Kirby recruited you at Valdosta State.
That's right. So the greatest recruiting class, even now, that Kirby has ever put together was the 2002 Valdosta State Blazers that I was a part of.
Those were the studs of college football.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was eye-opening coming because my high school, we were just turning around my senior year in football. We didn't win a lot.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot. But going to a program that was very successful and very competitive, you got to see it kind of from the other end, how hard you had to work, how hard we did 4 days back then during camp.
2 days were bad enough.
2 days were bad enough. We were doing 4 days. And
was that a Kirby idea? Was that his?
Coach Hatcher, Chris Hatcher was our head coach, and he kind of instilled all that. And Kirby went when I got there. He went and took the Bowden job, or the Florida State job with Coach Bowden.
Okay,
coach secondary.
Yep.
So going through all that was quite eye-opening, and learning that you were not nearly as good as you thought you were in high school, because everybody's good in college. So.
Everybody's good. Yeah, now it's cream of the crop.
That's right.
And then you enter this winning culture that's just ultra demanding.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I equate it to our House caucus, our Republican Party there down in Atlanta. Those guys, they got it going on. They got a good team.
Yep.
And they're winning, and I look forward to getting up there and helping them next year.
Oh, that is exciting. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Dutch Guest, candidate for Georgia House 121. This is the seat that Marcus Wiedauer vacated just a matter of, good Lord, not even 2 months ago. Time flies, goes quick. Dutch, you're a local business owner. Tell us about the business and then what you think that those experiences, being at the helm of a company, how that benefits you and how that prepares you for what you're about to go into.
So I'm fortunate enough to go to work for my dad. Now I'm going to preempt it a little bit. Now, my dad would not hire me at first. He made me go work for somebody else. So
I've heard that. You told me that before.
Yeah,
your dad's a tough dude, man.
I moved here and I was excited. I thought I was going to come work for the family business, and he said, "No, sir." He said, "You need to go work for somebody else."
Yeah.
So we, I went to work for Northeast Sales, Mr. Sinkwich down there, and learned to. I had to get up at 3 a.m. every morning. I drove a beer truck, had Madison, Monticello, part of Athens, Eatonton, and 3:30, getting up every morning, being in the warehouse at 4:30. That'll teach you a lot. And
that is.
And then after I was there for a little while, Dad decided, all right, hey, you can come work for me.
Put in your time.
So,
yeah.
And I don't know if I told you this. I was so excited to have the opportunity to go work for the family and for him at the time that I just accepted. He said, "I need you to come." We were building a warehouse. He's like, "I need you to come work in the warehouse." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever I can do to get there."
Right.
And I was so excited. Took the job, started work. Everything was great. And then I asked him. I was like, "Hey, buddies of mine are going to the beach in a couple of weeks or going on a trip. I need to take a day off." And he said, "Well, you didn't negotiate that." And I had like 2 weeks at my previous job. Anyway, I know he's probably listening. He's like, "Don't be hard on, I should have negotiated that prior to going."
Yeah. That's a life lesson there that Dad taught you.
We ended up working that out. So, but working at Ladd and working for my dad and my uncle, a lot of people misinterpret things. They think, "Oh, you slip right into the president spot when you go to work for family." I started driving a truck, sweeping the floors, loading trucks, unloading trucks. Then after a while, I got moved into customer service dispatch, learned how to plan loads, dispatch drivers, look at a map, So back, for those young people listening, back in the day, I say the day 2010, we actually had to look at maps.
Paper maps. Yeah.
And tell people how to get in it. I know it's a foreign concept now with all this technology. And
I don't know that people can do it nowadays, Dutch, to get from point A to point B. But I love how Dad put you through the trenches. Right. And what that does is, once again, you learn every facet of the business. So now somebody comes to you with an issue, you've been there and you've done that.
Right. And I can talk about anything. But I'm one of those people, I don't like to tell people how to do things unless I've done it myself.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. And, another thing about leading a company is you know who to talk to, and you learn how to empower the great people you got working for you.
Yeah.
So you let them make decisions, and you support them, and you back them up.
I love that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's just fantastic. Biggest lessons that you took away, when you think about this time that you've had now as a career with Ladd Trucking, what would you say are some of the top 1, 2, 3 lessons that you took from this?
So the biggest thing is never pretend like you know everything, and never think you know everything. Don't be too afraid to ask a question.
Okay. Yep.
And always know who to talk to, and always be humble, and always give back, because my dad, they're all very good about giving back. We've been involved with several different organizations through the years, giving back to the community, making things better. But the biggest thing that I learned from my dad is always being humble, and my goodness, making connections, building bridges, not burning them down.
That's a great point.
Knowing everybody you need to talk to, and at the Georgia State House, you could go up there and grandstand and do all these things that some people want to do, but there, it's about working with people. It's about working with fellow Republicans. It's about working with Democrats. And it's about working across the hall with the Senate, because it takes everybody to get things done.
It's a team. Yeah.
And you can't go up there and burn bridges. You have to work with everybody. You got to make relationships, because you know what? You're going to need them, and they're going to need you. Democrats, you got to work with them too. Believe it or not, they all work together. I know you all in the news sometimes, you see all the one-sided things, but it takes everybody to make the world go round.
Well, you see a lot in the federal government, and quite often you will see people who win congressional House seats go up there, and they're on a solo mission, and there's 435 of them.
Right.
And then what I think ends up happening is sometimes people get elected to those seats, and they're there really for their own personal benefit, right? They're there to either build their social media following or perhaps make money, who knows what it is. And so that's the visual we see on the news every night at television. Whereas I agree with you, I think the under the Gold Dome, while there is stark differences, I think there's an appetite to get things done for the betterment of this state. And you cannot argue with the fact that under Republican leadership, under Governor Kemp, with the House and the Senate being under Republican leadership, our state has thrived.
That's right. I mean, you saw yesterday the announcement, $2 billion in infrastructure, $200 million of that is coming to 316. So they're going to improve 316.
Right in their backyard, yeah.
And not to mention, he announced $50 million for homeless and mental health.
Big
grant,
deal.
Not only in Metro Atlanta, but it's available in cities like Athens as well.
That's right.
Where we do have a mental health and homeless problem that we got to take care of. There are ways to help, especially District 121, but it takes working with people on both sides of the aisle.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We come back, continuing our conversation with Dutch Guest, candidate for Georgia House 121. Don't go anywhere.
Don't miss the huge discounts on new Fords and special financing rates for most qualified buyers going on now at Loganville Ford. Plus, see their great selection of pre-owned vehicles at their used car supercenter at discounted prices. Loganville Ford is your home for quick lane, offering service and tires for all makes and models. Open Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. 3460 Highway 78 in Loganville. Stop in or shop online at LoganvilleFord.com. When looking for new shoes, the place to check out is K&D Shoes in Conyers. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, offering one of the largest selection of shoes for men, women, and for the kids. From name brands like Ariat, Rocky, Georgia Boot, Hey Dude, and others. You'll find everything from casual to work boots all under one roof. Be sure to see their great selection of outerwear from name brands like Carhartt, Ariat, and more. Need athletic shoes? Then see their great selection from brands like New Balance, Brooks, Reebok, Hoka, and more. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's K&D Shoes, 2250 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. Call 770-483-9037. Or to learn more and see their great selection, go to kndshoes.com.
You ever roll out of bed and feel like you lost a fight with a tractor? If your back's barking, your neck's complaining, and your knees pop louder than a box of cereal, it might be time for the Joint Chiropractic. There are no appointments, no insurance mess, and no sitting around all day. You just walk in, get adjusted, and head back out feeling human again. Now serving Covington and Monroe, whether you've been hauling, hunting, working, or just sleeping funny, the Joint Chiropractic keeps you moving smooth and feeling right. The Joint Chiropractic, because snap, crackle, and pop belong in your cereal and not your spine.
Welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, is Dutch Guess. He's a candidate for Georgia House 121. This is the seat that Marcus Wiedauer held for several years. Decided in November to vacate the seat. Special election in December. Dutch winds up on the losing side of that equation. We've all been there. I've been there personally myself 4 years ago when I ran for Congress. Losing stinks. But you, instead of picking up your toys and go home, Dutch, you decide, hey, I'm in this thing. I'm doubling down. I'm getting involved.
That's right. You know, Mark, it's never fun losing, right? I'm a competitor. I've coached youth sports. I've coached my kids. You know, I don't even like losing games with them, but we do sometimes. It's just part of life. I think the manner of which you lose matters. I think the way you look at things and learn from your loss matters.
Yep.
Yes, I got knocked down. I mean, my whole family, you don't ever count your chickens before they hatch, right? I got a sign in my office that says don't count your chickens before they hatch. We felt really good. I'm not going to lie. We felt good. And I think everybody else felt good. And that's why they didn't vote.
That's right.
Because they were like, oh, I see Dutch everywhere. He's
got this.
He's got this. Don't have to worry about it. And it was, it was very humbling. But also, again, I go back to how you lose. I packed my toys up. I called my opponent, and I congratulated him, and I offered, any kind of questions he had that I could help represent. That we still have to bring good stuff to this district. Just because somebody is up there that we don't want right now, doesn't mean we don't need to ignore what this district needs. And we have to keep that on the forefront.
What's important to you? When you wake up every morning and say, "Hey, I'm continuing this campaign," what are some of the things that get you out of bed and willing to get out there and pound the pavement, knock doors, and do what it takes to win this election?
So I'm going to go back just a quick second. I'm
going
to come to that. So I had a lot of calls and a lot of messages afterwards. I did what Ronald Reagan did for his hobby. I went and chopped wood. I did cut down some trees.
You burned some calories.
Yeah, I chopped some wood. Made some. Chopped up some firewood, replenished the firewood supply. As soon as that election was over, I read a devotional every day, and one of these verses came up back when we were considering running again.
Yeah.
And it was, "For you were called to freedom, brothers and sisters. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself." And that's Galatians 5:13-14. But
excellent.
I felt called. I still feel called.
Right.
Even if we won, I was still going to run again.
Yeah.
Because this was turning around. We had raised money to run again too.
Yep.
People were like, "Wow, you raised a lot." Well, we were raising money to go through a couple more elections, because this one, when you hop right into session, you can't raise money then you're back in the primary.
That's right. Right over again. Yep.
But back to what gets me out of bed. Look, just because you live in a nice community or a nice district doesn't mean things need to be worked on. Public education, it's a big thing. I got a 15-year-old at Oconee County High School. I got 11-year-old in 5th grade at Athens Academy. I see both sides of the worlds there with public and private schools. Our public schools need funding. For example, an old fair share formula from 1985, the QBE formula. The Oconee school system has to give 5 mills back to the state. That's over $14 million going right back to the state.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 5 mills in Oconee County is a lot different than 5 mills in Oglethorpe County or different counties.
Yep.
So, and then counties like Oconee are having to come out of pocket for assistant principals, school nurses, social workers. They only have 3 social workers for all the schools. And every county is different, but we need to look at a way to adjust that formula, because we're talking about property tax. The House Speaker Burnett said we're going to look at property tax this year and see what we can do to alleviate some pain there, which I agree we need to look at it. We need to look at the income tax, which they're looking at as well.
Yep.
All 4 lower. That could be the income tax could be the quickest way to get some relief to Georgians and people in the district, but we have to be careful not to defund local schools and essential services, which we're not going to do. The Republicans are not going to do that, but there's also a lot of things school choice is coming down the pipe at some point. People are going to want to look at that. We have to make sure that our counties, our district here is getting the money that they need to put to work.
Yeah, and Oconee County is the flagship for fantastic public schools, right? So many people that want to come to Oconee County want to come for the schools, and what's unique about that is the phrase "high tides raise all ships," right? So now, if you look at the surrounding counties have responded in like, and Morgan County, great school system. Walton County, great school system. Barrow County, great school system. So there's so much emphasis, and it's such an important thing, even if you don't have children in school.
Right.
It's still important that your public school system is rock solid.
That's right. And talking about Clark County schools as well, they have a career academy. All right.
That's right. Yeah.
We need more of those. All systems should have a career academy. I feel like sometimes kids get pushed to go to 4-year institutions, and you know what? If you want to, that's fine. But there's also other opportunities.
That's right.
You can drive a truck. You can be an HVAC technician. You can be an electrician right out of school, and you can make a lot of money right out of high school and not go into student loan debt and provide for your families and have a great career and own your own business one day. There's a lot of opportunity that we need to make sure all youth have.
Marc McMain, our Dutch guest, candidate for Georgia House 121. We had a guest on about 2 weeks ago. I referenced him in the earlier segment that was with one of these academies, and their specialty, I believe, was plumbing. And they kind of shift gears. Maybe they're going to try to add other crafts to that, but that's exactly the same discussion that we had, is that if we don't identify the fact that there's some kids that really are good working with their hands, and we don't foster that capability and give them a path, we're doing ourselves a disfavor. There was a spell there where it's like, if you don't go to a 4-year college, you're a failure. I think that did more damage than good, Dutch. So, right. And then the results of that is we have a shortage of HVAC technicians, plumbers, electricians. We need experts in those realms. So yeah, I'm all about that, and I think there's now finally a good reckoning and a push so that we give all these kids, no matter what their aspirations are, an avenue. Talk about, if elected, the lens that you're going to have looking through this from a business perspective when you're legislating, because I think there's such a benefit to that, especially as it pertains to the financial side of our state. What skill set do you think you bring to the table personally in the House once you get there?
So the biggest thing, looking at from so much of what the state does, and as a rep, and people have to, you hear state rep, right? What is rep? Representative, right? Mm-hmm. You got to represent your interest of your district, and you have to go to the state and look at the budget and look at what your district is getting whether that be schools, county, anything, and you got to make sure that you can advocate for your district to get those funds, and also align with grants and different programs that are put out there, especially by the governor's office, to bring money back here, to build a park, to buy a fire truck, to buy some new police cars. There are things out there that we can do to bring some good back to the community. And that goes back to what I was talking about before about relationships, knowing, I don't, as a state rep, I don't have control over the Georgia Department of Transportation, but I know who to talk to.
Right. Yeah.
And knowing the different departments and who you can reach out to and get things done and bring good things back here, that's what matters. And yes, I have looked at all the county, the state, or what the state gives the county and the schools, and you have to be aware of how much is coming out of the taxpayer's pocket in your district to pay for certain things, and try to get some help from the state in certain areas.
Well, think about this too. With your career in the trucking industry, you're going to be able to look at the Department of Transportation and the complexities faced with shipping and trucking lanes, especially with our port in Savannah. You can look at that through a whole different lens than the average person could. You have a better understanding of that. That'll have value.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, look, transportation is what I know. It's what I grew up in, and I enjoy. I could sit here and talk to you all day about trucks and traffic and different types of modes of transportation, and it's more than just, it's a truck taking something, from A to B. There's a lot more that goes into that, and I think especially with 316, and then we got 441. We're putting a bypass also, 15 to 441. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at, whether it's how you turn out of a business or how where a turn lane is put. There's a lot of things, roundabouts. Roundabouts seem to be the new thing.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I'm a roundabout fan, though. I'm all in on the roundabouts.
But our, you got to think about a roundabout. I like them. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes they're not big enough for
a truck to get through. What happens when that happens? That's got to be a disaster.
Well, what happens is that curb gets chewed up. Is what happens.
So
and then tires get chewed up. So then we're having to buy new tires on that.
Oh, I'm a big roundabout guy. That's I'm always look, it keeps it flowing, that's for sure. But I have been in downtown Monroe at Spring and Broad and have seen when a semi tries to come through there, and actually one time, Dutch, it ran over the truck or ran over the car in front of me because it's so tight quarters. So these bypasses are really critical.
Right.
They're important.
Right. And also back to District 121, they're putting in a new inland port up there in Gainesville, and that's going to alleviate a lot of container traffic in our district and should help things out. That's coming online this spring. So
that's perfect.
And I know we're getting short on time here, but I want to talk about obviously public safety.
Mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about it. Look, we got to talk about affordability, and I think property tax. I think income tax. I think all these things are going to come down and affect that. But one thing that I really want to look at is we need to go back and look at our poverty rates. We need to see, for example, Clark County, which part of that's in our district, around 26%. Even Oconee County, 6%. And just how they determine, the federal poverty level, a household of 4 people making less than $32,000. All right, that's a household of 4. Back in 1996, I don't know if you remember, a Republican-led Congress passed the Reform Act with Bill Clinton as president.
Right.
It was bipartisan legislation that tied people to where if you're going to go on welfare, you're going to get in a work program. They put restrictions on, hey, we're going to get you back on your feet.
They don't want you to stay there.
They don't want you to stay there. Nobody wants you to stay dependent on this government. Well, you fast forward 10 years and welfare is down 60%. All of a sudden you got more people in the workforce. And then you fast forward to the Obama years. Well, he took all those restrictions off.
Yep.
All right, and then he changed the narrative to income inequality.
Yeah. Right.
Versus trying to get people back on their feet and in the workforce. And so now we need to spend that back. We got to take care of people with mental health issues and are homeless, and we got to get them back to work, get them on their feet. We don't want them to stay there forever.
It's a hand up, not a handout.
No.
That's right, Dutch. I love that.
We need to lift them up and get them there. And that's one of the things that I want to be a part of as a state rep in Clark County. And hell, we have homeless in Oconee too, but we need to help Clark County with their problem.
We do. There's no doubt about it. It's if you want to see that manifesting before your very eyes, take a trip down there. It's frightening. It needs work. Dutch, if somebody wants to get involved, help out, participate in your campaign in any form or fashion, how do they learn more about you?
So, look, we're on Facebook, Mac H. Dutch Guest for State House, and also electdutch.com. If you go to electdutch.com, you can sign up. You can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up for my newsletter. I'll be putting newsletters out on what I'm doing, what's going on, what is going on in Atlanta. I want to make sure everybody is aware of everything going on as far as legislation's standpoint, and just reach out to me. 706-201-8127. That's my cell number. You can call me, text me, tell me what you're passionate about. Look at my issues page on my website. That page can grow. Look at it. I think I've covered a lot of what we've talked about today on there, but let's get after it and let's go win this thing this fall. And I want to come back here and talk some more.
Well, we're going to have you back. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. Yes. You got great stuff, and I appreciate you staying in the game. And tell Mac the Fourth I said hi.
Yeah, he's fifth.
Was he fifth?
Yeah, he's the fifth.
I think I called you Mac at the Rotary Club the other day, too.
Sorry, you call me Dutch. It's all right. There's three of us. So.
Well, tell Mac 5 behave himself.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him down here. He'll help us out a little bit. He can talk about schools and sports, and
he's a big supporter of Dad, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. You're listening.
Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely. You listen to the Marc McMain Show, our guest, Dutch guest, candidate for 121. Folks, we'll be back on tomorrow. Big show, noon. Until then, stay